Welcome back to Robinson's Automotive, toolsatime.com. 2014 Mitsubishi. It's got the V6 in there. Stopped running while it was driving. I expected the worst when I was cranking it. So I popped the timing cover off. But it didn't jump time. So I was glad to see that it didn't jump time. And it sounded like it had compression, but it was spinning over odd. But I'm sure it's been trying to start for a while now. So then I went to the next step I ran codes. There was nothing present, nothing current, and nothing in the history. I cranked it to see if I had a crank signal, which I did while cranking. Then I moved on from there, checked spark, and I had no spark. Pulled up a wiring schematic, and I'll share that here.
As I'm reviewing this wiring schematic, I located the ignition coils, zoomed in here. First, I focused in on the first black wire, which is the ground. You can see it's at least sharing ground with those three coils. And then I wanted to zoom in on that red wire to see if that was our power. And I follow that back. Nope, that's our control. So that's most likely ground. So let's zoom back in and see that blue wire there. Let's check on that. Okay, that makes more sense. So that's most likely power when it's going to at least those three coils. So I'm going to follow that over, see where that takes us. As you can see, I got it highlighted there. That takes us to fuse 21, which is a 10 amp fuse. And that's coming off the MFI relay. And that comes off of another main fuse, a 120 amp fuse. So as long as that's good, when you turn the key on, whatever controls that MFI relay will switch and power up everything there that you see. There's quite a bit on that circuit, including those coils. I could check that 10 amp fuse there, or we could just scroll back over here and I'll show you where I'm going to start. I'm going to go right back to the source, locate that blue wire on that ignition coil, and see if we have power present at the source.
So I turn the key on and I have no power. And I can show you. So I have my test light, it's hooked to ground, so if I find a power, the test light will illuminate. So the key's on, lightly front probed, and I got no power. All right. So what I did is I plugged everything back in, looked at the wiring schematic, found that 10 amp fuse. Same thing, using the test light. If I find a good power, it should illuminate. This is the 10 amp fuse. I have power on this side, but I have no power on this side. So our fuse is blown for our ignition coils. So what are we gonna do next? If I just put a fuse in there, I don't want to try to energize everything back up, potentially fix an intermittent problem. So I wanted to check it to ground. So let's pop that fuse out. So I have my meter set up to ohms, audible. I'm gonna lightly front probe this side. We're gonna hook this side up to ground. All right, I'm gonna get it so it stays there. So we're reading about 14 ohms. So I just picked the center coil. We're gonna unplug that one. Reading about the same. Aha, there's our culprit. So I bet you if we replace that fuse, it'll start up and run and that fuse won't blow, but if we plug that back in, the fuse will most likely blow. So let's test out this theory. All right, so I have my fuse buddy, or whatever you call it. It's got a 10 amp fuse in it. We're gonna plug it in where that fuse was. We're gonna also hook up an amp clamp. Okay, we have power there now. All right, I'm just gonna leave that one unplugged and see if the vehicle starts. Like I said, she's probably flooded. Hold it to the floor. Oh, there you go, start right up. All right, so we got a misfire. Well, we know that because we have that coil unhooked. So we're running around 1.8 amps. So plenty within tolerance. I'm going to hook this coil up over here. I'm going to plug this in. While I do so, I want you to watch this. Whoop! There she goes. Shut right off when I plug that one coil in. Blew the fuse. All right, so we have a bad coil there, no doubt, and that's how I went about diagnosing that one. So I'm going to take and order up a coil. I'm going to look at the plug while we're in there, but then I might recommend a full tune-up later. It looks like this upper plenum has to come off, but let's start with this coil, and then we'll take it from there. In case you're wondering how I checked it for spark, I pulled a coil pack out, and I put this in place in the boot. I just simply clipped it on the ground and bolt. I had my helper crank it over. While he was cranking it, there was no spark. All right, so got the new coil installed. That's what we could get first thing this morning. Pulled the spark plug. It is kind of wore, so I'm gonna recommend a complete tune-up on this sometime in the near future. Still have the fuse buddy in there. We're gonna hook our amp clamp up. Now let me zero this. All right, so we're all hooked up, plugged in. We're gonna start it up. I did create a code. I drove it in with that coil unplugged. There was no code present before, and now we do have a cylinder 2 misfire, which we know we created. Just gonna start it up. Okay. Ran a little rough there at first. 1.7, right around 1.8 amps. And as you know, it's a 10 amp fuse. So we should be good as far as that goes. Go back and erase this. We're gonna start fresh. That's good. We'll just read the codes one more time. Just gotta go through all its relearns now. No faults. Alright guys, we're on the maiden voyage with this Mitsubishi. We found that blown fuse, led it back to that coil, replaced that coil, and so far everything's feeling great. I'm not feeling any misfires. We're approximately, this has 114,000 miles on it. So we'll have to see what intervals are due. I'm pretty sure probably timing belt in addition to spark plugs. So I'll throw out those recommendations to the owner and proactively see what they want to do. And we'll take it to the next step. All right, guys, thanks for watching.